One of the problems that people face when raising dogs is the constant barking, which causes great inconvenience. Once you know the reason for the dog barking, you can get rid of this problem, and there are several tips that you can follow when the dog barks in order to control the barking of the dog, including how to control dog barking. Forcing the dog to stop barking. Dogs bark when they want to ask for something, and you can limit and control the dog's barking by not giving the dog what it wants when it barks, but training can require some time, especially if the dog gets used to barking when it sees a request for something. And you must differentiate between the dog's barking when he wants to relieve himself, this is an important thing and requires barking, while if he is barking on the simplest things. And don't compromise and agree to give him the things he wants when he barks a lot, that leads to a reversal of the progress that has occurred. Ignore the bark. Training a dog to stop him barking can take some time, and during that you should ignore the dog when he barks in order to control the dog's barking. Sometimes the dog barks in order to draw attention, you should ignore him instead of punishing him for doing this thing. The dog thinks that when you yell at him it's a kind of attention. If the dog barks and you yell at him in order for him to shut up, the dog can bark longer next time waiting for you to react. It's better to do something last and don't pay attention to the dog until it stops. Reward your dog for good behavior. If your dog stops barking, you must reward him in order for the dog to learn that silence is the best way to get what he wants and to control the dog's barking. You should keep small meals of his favorite food close to you, because once the dog stops barking you can give him meals as a reward, and you can also say some words of praise to the dog when he stops barking. After the dog gets used to the fact that silence is the best way to get things, you can prolong the time between his silence and give him a reward and work on that thing until it reaches a minute or two. After you have trained the dog for a while to stop barking, you can change the time between the dog stopping barking and giving him the reward, so you can make the period 30 seconds and again a minute and once 20 seconds, in order for the dog not to expect when to take the reward. Find an alternative behavior to barking. You can teach your dog an alternative behavior to barking, so instead of the dog feeling frustrated and angry for not responding, then the dog does an alternative behavior to barking as a way to get it what it wants. Example: instead of the dog barking in order to play, you can train your dog to bring his favorite toy and put it on the ground in preparation for playing. Training the dog can take some time, but this is the best way to prevent unwanted behavior. You can also limit the situations that cause the dog to bark. For example, if the dog is barking to get his ball under the couch, you can put something under the sofa to prevent this from happening again. Continuity of training. You must be patient during the period of learning to control the barking of the dog. With time, the dog will learn patience and that he must stop barking if he wants to play or eat. Meet your dog's basic needs. If the dog feels hungry or you leave it in the garden of the house for a long time, it is likely that the dog will bark, and in this case the dog cannot stop barking to ask for its needs for food and comfort through training or through anything else. Always make sure that you provide the dog food, provide him with clean water. Checking the dog's health. Ensure that the dog does not suffer from health problems, as sometimes the dog can bark a lot when he feels pain and as a way to express his illness. Related questions. What is separation anxiety in dogs? Separation anxiety in dogs occurs when the dog is very attached to its owner, and when your dog is subjected to great pressure while leaving it alone until you return, and it is more than just the dog whining when the owner leaves the house, and symptoms can vary from one dog to another, but in general he is terrified of being left on his own.